Hi, my name is Amanda Saint-Germain and I'm a board certified behavior analyst. Today we're going to discuss preference assessments and the importance of capturing your learners' motivation so that you can teach them more easily and that you can ensure that what you're delivering to them based on their response is truly a reinforcer and increases the future frequency of that behavior. Let's dive in, shall we?
So what is a preference assessment? It's simply presenting an array of objects and recording which objects the learner choose repeatedly or what they show a positive affect towards. What is a preference assessment? Hmm. A preference assessment is identifying things a learner is motivated by that may function as a reinforcer and can be used for teaching new skills. Often in the clinical or home setting, we will present an array of objects we already know the learner enjoys and see which one they choose and which order they may choose those items in. It may look a little like this. They can be performed in many different ways. Natural observation, contrived observation, kind of like baiting the environment, asking the learner or offering verbal choices, presenting a single stimulus at one time, presenting two stimuli together, paired stimuli, or presenting multiple stimuli all at one time, with or without replacement. Let's take a closer look, shall we?
It's so important to ensure that your learner is motivated, and an easy way to do that is to simply perform a preference assessment. It could be as easy as observing your child playing in the natural environment, setting out a few toys and seeing what they play with, or doing a very contrived, trial-based preference assessment by placing items out and seeing what your learner chooses. There are many different types of preference assessments, and you have to choose what's best for you and for your learner, given the situation and the time that you have and your learner's ability. Today we're going to discuss several of those different methods, and you can choose which one works best for you.
Let's discuss natural observation. It's simply observing a child in their natural environment and taking note of what items and activities they engage with, how long they engage with them, and their affect while they're engaging. You want to see what they like. Or we could do contrived observation, where we bait the environment with things that are easy for you to control and that you've noticed the child interact with in the past. You can observe how long they play with them, if they seem to enjoy playing with the item, and then you can have a better idea of what they enjoy. For verbal learners, interviewing or asking verbally might be your best option. What do you want to play with? What should we do next? There's also single stimulus preference assessments, in which we only present one item at a time. This may work well for a learner who cannot scan an array of items or who may be too distracted or unable to make a choice. It's also known as successive choice. Then we have paired stimulus preference assessments. In this type of assessment, you hold up two items at a time. You look for which item the child may reach toward or which one they show more of a positive affect for. This is also known as forced choice and can take a long time, but for some learners, it's the best option. And finally, we have multi-stimuli. I like to do without replacement preference assessments. You place more than three items out. Every time one is chosen, we remove that item from the array. It lets you know the ranking order the child prefers the items. It's good to do this one, especially in a clinical setting. Several advantages of using preference assessments are they may indicate highly preferred stimuli, which may serve as potent reinforcers. They can also check for satiation of known reinforcers. They may inform the adult of reinforcer preference for differential reinforcement purposes, and they ensure that you have items your child is motivated to obtain.
Whatever works best for you and your learner is the one you should choose. Every learner is different and every situation is different, but always know it's great to have your learner's motivation to get the optimal results and to ensure that the items you deliver truly are functioning as reinforcers and are truly changing that behavior in the future.
Why is what I give them so important? That's a great question. For it to be considered a reinforcer, it must have been potent enough to have increased the future frequency of behavior. And remember, a positive reinforcer is something presented following a behavior that is likely to increase that behavior in the future. Remember, we are selecting out behaviors to increase, so immediately following a target behavior, if something very positive is presented to the individual, then it is more likely that the target behavior will increase in the future. We always want to see a positive trend and an increase in skill level. So each time an item functions as a reinforcer for a target behavior, the behavior will go up. Let's consider a staircase as an analogy for skills increasing. You usually see a stepwise increase in skill level, so you want to see that ball go up. If you use a preference assessment, it's more likely that the item presented will function as a reinforcer and that the skill will increase or go up a level or go up a step. Going up. Once more, the preference assessment is used and the item function as a reinforcer. This means we should see the skill go up a level. Going up, it's on level 3. But be careful. Don't always assume you know what the learner is motivated to obtain. I think this is a big mistake that's often made. It must be motivating and increase the behavior to be a reinforcer. Otherwise, it does not function as a reinforcer and the behavior will not increase in the future. You may see that target stagnate. Uh-oh, it stayed on the 3rd step. It wasn't reinforced. So make learning fun by keeping your learner motivated. Preference assessments not only promote positive outcomes, but they make teaching and learning more fun and more effective. So skills increase, but also happiness should increase. Learning should always be fun. Keep that in mind. The learner should be having fun, and the person teaching the learner should be having fun.
You can see now why it's so important to reinforce the learner and to make sure that what you're delivering is truly reinforcement, or you might see a certain target stagnate. So it's important to use preference assessments, whether they're more natural or more contrived, to ensure that your learner is truly motivated and that the item is truly reinforcing. Thank you so much for joining me down this path about preference assessments. I hope that you learned some valuable tools to put in your ABA toolbox that you can use moving forward. Thank you so much.
Proudly presented by Every Piece Matters.